Lazy summer days, go to college. And memory still plays with the knowledge. It's Rhyme and Reason 1074. Oh, yeah. Hey there, Tony here, and I hope you're doing great today. And I hope you're in the mood for a story because I'm going to tell you one. Once upon a time, a young boy named Tony, it's just a coincidence, by the way, spent some long, lazy summer days in eastern Kansas. Yes, Kansas. And he and his younger brother sometimes grabbed their fishing gear and hiked down by the creek bank in a remote part of the farmland near their mom's house. It was about a half-mile hike along the fence line on a well-worn tractor trail. The path also wound through a small forest, to a shady spot where the creek flowed nicely just about all summer long. Those lazy summer days didn't seem to fly by at the time, but now they're long gone, and it feels almost like they never happened, if you want to know the truth. And why not? Why wouldn't you? Because that's what you're here for, right? Anyway, they did happen, and they did fly by. I know, of course, because that once upon a time Tony is me. You didn't know it. You already didn't guess it. I know. Anyway, and those long summer days were so enjoyable that I can remember even small details to this day. I really can. I bet you have memories like that too. My brother and I would take a net. They called it a seining net. For some reason, I don't even know why. And we would spread it across the creek between us, and we'd scoot it up the creek until we had some bait. Usually that meant we'd catch minnows and crawdads, and those were good for fishing. Then we'd find our spot. That's where the creek was deeper, had a little more water in there, and pools and things like that. And we'd cast out our lines, and we'd talk and wait, and usually didn't have to wait long. We almost always went home with some perch or similar, usually perch, something like that in the creek. And we'd take that home to Mom, and she'd fry it up in a pan. And something else that was very cool about it, that fish dinner included some vegetables that we'd pick right out of the family garden just before dinner time. Now, that's what I call a healthy lifestyle. I mean, it sure beats going to those rusty golden arches people still go to for some reason, or sitting under some bloated bell with stuff that's called protein that doesn't even register on the beef scale anymore. But I digress. I tell you what, how about you relax, sit back, enjoy a nice cup of your favorite beverage, and I'll take you back down by the creek bank, sitting on a tree stump, listening to the birds sing, looking at a frog jump, thinking lots of nice thoughts, sipping on a sweet tea, writing down a few words when they come and greet me, watching little squirrels run, climbing up the oak trees, lying in the green grass, waiting for a cool breeze, staying till it's twilight, catching me a firefly, down by the creek bank. Life is passing by. Yeah, that part of life did pass by. Faster than I would have liked. I imagine at the time it seemed slower than it does now. But anyway, it passed on by. And still, way back in the 20th century, after that, I was able to go to college in the rural countryside of Kansas, another part of Kansas, more in the center part of it. If you've ever watched the episode of the Waltons about John Boy's first day in college, well, you saw him experience kind of like what I was experiencing in my first day in college, because the halls of higher learning held that same kind of mystique of hopeful anticipation for me, too. But I pretty quickly discovered how going to college ain't all it's cracked up to be. And this is way back in the 20th century. It's way worse now. Unfortunately for me, by the time I was in college, it was nothing like John Boy's experience. Very little like it, I'll put it that way. Universities had already become institutions for thought control, but thankfully it was happening slower at my college in the rural countryside of Kansas, because that's a part of the country where generations had grown up with a Christian conservative worldview. However, I noticed classes like Western Civilization and Sociology 1 and 2 shared some pretty one-sided political views. And maybe I was surprised because, like I said, I was raised with a Christian conservative worldview. And even my public high school, when I attended high school in Pasadena, Texas, by the way, even that high school leaned heavily in that Christian direction. And I'm not kidding. It was much more Christian in that environment in my high school in Texas than Christian schools are today, and probably most churches. Anyway, it didn't take me years of college to figure out the so-called enlightenment, I'll put air quotes around that, in the halls of higher learning. All that enlightenment sounded like George Orwell wrote the script, and it wasn't even 1984 yet. Yeah, I'm that old. It became glaringly apparent on one of my homework assignments. The year I first attended college, a crucial bill was put to the voters in Kansas. And this had to be voted on because, by golly, this was life or death. It was about whether or not motorcyclists would be required to wear helmets. Imagine the carnage and chaos of no motorcycle helmets. Oh my goodness, I just can't even, I don't even want to, the humanity. My journalism professor gave us an assignment to present a pro or con view on a controversial topic. So I chose the motorcycle helmet issue that was on the ballot at the time. And I took the somewhat controversial, I didn't know it would be, no helmets side of the debate. And I wrote about how it would end up being another small step toward total government control of every corner of our lives. Boy, howdy was I wrong. Not, I was right. You see where we are now. Hopefully you see where we are now. Thankfully, there were still plenty of others back then who agreed with my position on the topic, but I was surprised at how passionate others could be in their opposition, in their opinions. They actually got mad about it, some of them very mad, that I would dare say it would be okay to ride a motorcycle with no helmet. And we certainly shouldn't make it a law. Anyway, fast forward to now, and thank goodness you can go to college without a motorcycle helmet or Big Brother watching or listening to your every move, right? Hello? Nowadays, people don't just present passionate opinions. Yeah, large groups of people have determined it's perfectly fine to riot and loot and burn down businesses to express their views. But here's a key point, and I want you to pay close attention to this point because this is vital to understand. We have, America, we have voted our way into this mess. And I predict we won't vote our way out of it. So I'm going to leave you with this little thought, this right here for you to ponder. Passion doesn't make you right. Learning doesn't shed more light when it's learning based on lies and rebellious alibis. Now, if you trust God more than college, I think you and I should stay connected. I think you're my kind of people. I made it super easy. All you got to do is go to TonyFunderburk.com and get Rhyme and Reason delivered to your inbox for free. I will not charge you for it at all. And I could probably charge $1 million every time I send something out. Probably not. I'm just kidding. Anyway, this is great stuff based on the power of God's love. I'm going to send you also some download links to music and the very first 6 days, which is a rhyming book for kids about the creation week. I'll send that all to you right away, and so your kids and grandkids can start enjoying it right away, practically. Just add your email to the form that you'll find at TonyFunderburk.com, and it'll all start taking place automatically. It's pretty cool. Automation is pretty cool. And that does it for this episode of the Rhyme and Reason podcast. And remember, your life has rhyme and reason because God made you.